Welcome to the Nordic Stitches podcast. I am Lily and I'm coming to you from the northern Norway. Welcome to my little corner of the world. Grab your beverage of choice and let's have a nice sit down together. This channel is about my crafting endeavors. I am a knitwear designer who loves to knit, crochet, spin, and embroider. I'm passionate about the environment as well, and at times you will hear me talk about it in the podcast because it has become a huge part of how and why I craft. In real life, I curse like a sailor, and though I try my best not to curse in the podcast, I will not spend time editing it out should it occur, as it is a part of who I am. If a little bit of cursing offenses you, I won't be offended if you don't want to watch the podcast. Everything I talk about can be found as show notes with links below the video, as well as links to my Ravelry shop and social media where you at all times can stay updated on my crafty journey. Hello! Welcome to new and returning viewers. Today I have quite a bit to talk about, so we're just gonna jump straight into it. First, thank you so much for everyone who followed my July vlogs, commented, hit the thumbs up, and took part, really, because that's what you do when you engage, and I really appreciate it. It makes I'm just buttoning my shirt. It makes it a whole lot more fun. I'm not buttoning my shirt because my shirt is broken. Oh well. It was so much fun doing. I almost said Vlogmas. Did I say Vlogmas? The July vlogs. There you have it. I had a message on Ravelry saying you enjoyed it so much and you wish I could have continued. I did July vlogs yesterday. It's a good start. Good start. I did the same last year, and even though someone hacked me and deleted me April 1st, I'm just gonna mute my phone, I re-uploaded a lot of the videos, partially because an awesome viewer from the US has crappy internet, so she actually had a few of my episodes downloaded, and so she was able to send them back to me. So all the episodes that are back up are because she sent them to me, and but I also had a lot of the vlogs from the previous years. So Vlogmas from 2016 is gone, which is very sad, and I hate that. So if anyone out there has crappy internet and has downloaded that season, I want it back, so let me know. I can help you if you don't know how to do it. And I had a whole lot of other vlogs. I've done a whole lot of vlogging these last 3 years, and so I've re-uploaded most of the content. I've had a few people say they don't understand why I did that. I would never take time to re-upload, and well, I didn't do it for me. I did it for those who keeps telling me that they go back and watch the content because it gives them comfort, and that to me is enough. When I got hacked and deleted, those people were the first things on the first people on my mind, and so of course I re-uploaded it. So if you still want to see some more vlogs, there are a ton of it here on the channel, and I do believe, if it's not there already, I will in the down bar just click on show more. It's located beneath the thumbs and the title of the video. Show more, whatever it says in your language. In Norwegian it says vis mer. So I will include the direct link to all my playlists in case you're not familiar with how to locate things on a YouTube channel, and you just click on the video whenever it pops up, which is amazing. So thank you to everyone who has sent videos, who has been a part of the vlogs this year after my comeback, and I just really wanted to say that I really, really appreciate it. It has meant so much to me that you guys are here, both new and returning, because I do this because it is talking to people about common interests, and without you talking back to me in the comment sections, like I always say, this is just a monologue, so thank you. Oh my goodness. We have 3 Knitalongs going. I'm just having coffee in my Marius mug. probably very dirty. I shouldn't probably show this on the podcast, but hey, c'est la vie. It is regular life. I am just a regular knitter talking to people on the camera. So like I said, we have 3 knit-alongs going on in the Ravelry group. So all are from my designs. And you can multiple dip however you please, in my knit-alongs, in other people's knit-alongs if the patterns fit. So we have the Nordic Stitches box of socks knit-along, where you can knit 12 different pairs of my sock designs. I have a lot. And enter to win awesome prizes. I will make a video about prices very soon, I promise. It's just that I have so much going on these days, and yeah. Anyway, so that is one knit-along. You can knit shorties, you can knit long-legged socks, it's up to you. We don't all live in the same places in the world and have the same climate, so we have different needs, I guess. And short, long, as long as it's adult socks is okay. And my neighbor is pulling out his lawnmower, so I will have to wait and talk to you guys later. I'm just gonna quickly try and tell you about the 2 other knit-alongs before he starts it. So the 2 other knit-alongs is for all my designs, pure and simple. So the sock cow runs out June next year, and the everything goes knit Nordic Stitches designs goes out June next year. So those are a year-long running knit-along. And then there is the Clean Ocean socks and the Clean Ocean shawl knit-along, and those 2 are matching, and I designed them so that we can raise money for a great cause. So this year the money goes to Ocean Conservancy, and they help the planet by cleaning oceans and beaches and saving marine life, and that is causes I like supporting very much. And so far we have raised more than half of what we did last year in total, and that is a 6-month fundraising and 6-month knit-along, so it runs out December this year. So January 1st, that knit-along is over, and I will be drawing winners. And again, I do solemnly promise, I do solemnly swear to make a video on the prices. I don't have all the prices here, simply because all my things is in storage. If this is your first time watching, he left his lawnmower, so I'm just gonna keep on talking. If this is your first time watching, I made myself homeless in April. I put all my things in storage. I've been open about this on Instagram. I don't know if I mentioned it here. One of the reasons I did that was to pay off debts. I'm spending my rent money on paying it down on my debts instead, because being disabled in Norway and alone, because, you know, single, that was not a contact ad in any kind of way. But yeah, it's very expensive. Living here is expensive. Eating here is expensive. Everything here costs a shitload of money. And so being alone and not being able to pay down my debts, I decided to put my things in storage and use my rent money to pay down my debts. I took a couple of suitcases, one just with yarn, one with clothes, and I left for the northern Norway, and I'm using my mom's house as a base. And now the neighbors on the other side is starting to clean his car, so we really have to talk later. So I'm gonna organize myself a little, just have a little wee knit, drink a little bit of coffee, respond to some messages on the phone, look at my cool wooden dexel. We say dexel in Norwegian. Phone cover. Yes, no plastic, nah. And yeah, I guess I will talk to you when the neighborhood is a little bit more on the quiet side. Can't control the world. Okay, let's try again. In between neighbors fixing cars and mowing lawns and everything, I'm going to talk a little bit about a new design. Like I say in the intro, I am a knitwear designer, and I've also previously announced here after April drama coming back in June that I'm done designing 100% of the time. It used to be what I wanted to do, well, it still is what I want to do for a living. It's just a very hard market to get into. So I'm just not going to spend more time and energy on something that doesn't bring food to the table, because like I mentioned previously, disabled, Norway, not a good match. So but I did make a new design, and this time I have designed a pair of socks that is specifically designed for minis and scraps. I didn't use it for mine, but it does show off the simple texture in a very good way. It is already released, and the direct link will of course be in the description box below with everything else. I'm going to show you the first sample. I didn't have enough to finish both, so I am just going to show you the first. This is how it looks. This is the pattern. And you only knit with one color at a time when you change colors. So you knit with one color, cut your yarn, and you do this portion here with your new color, and you decide how many rounds you want in stockinette between each. So you can either, there are so many possibilities with this. I'm just gonna pop the other, the finished actual pair on my blockers while I speak. So you can knit with scraps and have different rounds of stockinette, different amounts of stockinette between each color change. You can do like I've done, just pick a couple of colors you think look good together and just knit the same amount of rounds, and make self-striping socks that way. Because if you like me knit with a heel flap and gusset, you know that self-striping socks have a tendency to get a little weird, well, not weird, but you know, different around the gusset area. So this is my finished pair, and I'm a little bit more chunky on the leg than the blockers, and I've actually used these for a day, and so this is what it looks like. I held a pattern, named this pattern competition on Instagram, and one of my lovely viewers won a copy of the pattern by saying in the comments this. How lovely is that, right? So this is the Come Together socks. I've said it before and I will say it again. It is very important to me that people feel accepted, loved, understood, no matter where they come from, their background, skin tone. We've been there. We've had this discussion. You know exactly where I stand. And so I thought the name Come Together was just perfect, since she says it's like people are holding hands in the transition between the colorways. Yeah, so I hope that you think this is a fun pair of socks. It is available for 20 Norwegian kroners. It's less than half of what I take for a pattern originally, and it's always going to stay that cheap. It's less than what you pay for a cup of coffee, so if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, I love coffee. So yeah, and they of course have their own hashtag on Instagram, which you will see here on the screen, and I hope that you think this is a fun pair. I hope that you think it's a fun way of using your Advent minis and plain scrap yarns, or like I've done, just take a couple of colorways that I thought looked good together and put it into socks. Hi, Max! Ser du pip pip? My mom's neighbor's cat looks very much like my late cat, actually. And he's just spotted a bird, I think. This yarn is a dye pot accident from Arctic Yarns that I grabbed. And this is this pale one with, this is such a perfect fall colorway. Well, match. This is a Tamui color. Oh, for freaking sake. I don't remember. putting it on the screen. And if and when I remember to put these on my my project page, which I should, I will include it there, of course, and then you can go to Ravelry and check it out. Tommy Wee Colors has a lot of beautiful colorways, and yeah, new pattern. Ooh, perfect for minis, perfect for scraps. Yay! I'm knitting this again. I don't usually do that with my own patterns, but this I'm knitting again. I have some sparkle scrap yarns that I have left after knitting squares into my blanket, which I will get back to in just a little, that I will make into Christmas socks. Stripy Christmas socks. Yes. I've spun for Tour de Fleece twice now, last year and this year. Oh, by the way, check out my new beautiful necklace. What? I've always loved dream catchers. I think Native Americans have something... there's something so soulful about Native Americans, I think. And to me, they remind me a little. I'm not comparing, I'm just saying they remind me a little of how the people I originate from, which is the original people from here, the Sami people. The way they live and embrace, and just, yeah, it really reminds me of Native Americans. And so having a dream catcher like this around my neck right now is just amazing. This is silver. I can't use fake. I have super bad allergies for nickel. So when I saw this, well, my mom saw this first. We were in the jewelry shop in Stockmarknäs, and she was just like, oh, that's beautiful. I turned around and I said, oh yeah, I'm grabbing that. And it turns out it was on 40%, so we both have one. So back to Tour de Fleece. I have a note sheet here, cheat sheet, of how much I've done of each color. I've also tagged each color, and yeah, like I said, I always spin on a drop spindle. Last year I did, and this year I did. I did a little more this year than I did last year. Excuse me. But one of the plans that I had for the yarn didn't come through, and we're going to start with that. I've said before that I purchased some blue yarns that I wanted to spin up for Stephen West's design, Seriously Holy. This one. And it is super beautiful. I love how it came out, but it's not enough. I think I use a fisherman's fishing line gauge, the one that they hook onto their pole or just the line, and when they drop it they know exactly how deep it is. I use one of those to measure my yarn, and I think it's a little faulty, or it has to do with the fact that I don't have a ball winder. I ordered a cheap one, I have to admit. I'm waiting for that because I'm balling up yarns, and 100 grams takes me for 25 freaking minutes, and it's just too long. It's taking away knitting time. It's not okay. I think it's faulty, or like I said, it has to do with the fact that I'm using my hands and I don't have the equipment I do. So together, this colorway is called Butterfly, and it is 202 grams and 378 meters, which is half of what I was aiming for, and it's just not enough for the shawl. And I don't understand how it can be just 300 and something meters when this is the thickness of the yarn most of the places. So I'm going to measure it again. So I'm putting the Seriously Holy shawl on hold. I'm not going to spin up the white that I've received, because this lovely lady of Spin Jones has taken a special order from me and sent me the same fiber blend in white, so I have the contrast color. But I'm not going to spin up that until I know how much this is, because I want to know before I spin that yarn what I'm going to use it for. So that is the first that I spun for Tour de Fleece. And then I spun two 50-gram mini bats, no, two 25-gram mini bats, and this is Speckled Egg. This is my favorite of the yarns that I spun. It's got tweedy effects in there. Every yarn that I spun is from fiber that I bought off Spin Jones. I'm not sponsored, I just love that woman's Etsy shop. It's amazing. And together this is 55.7 grams and 105 meters. And it's absolutely beautiful. Then the second and third, well, the second 25, so these are 25 grams each, so one mini bat in each. I spun them from side to side, trying to control the color a little, and I did the same with this. This is called Autumn Sky, and it is 54 grams, 54.9 grams, and 114 meters. It goes from this pale yellow into a deep coral pink. Very beautiful. And the last fiber that I spun is called Cinnamon Figs. Way out of my comfort zone in terms of color. I can say I love that color or I love that sweater, but I would never wear it. In case you are not familiar with my color scheme, this is where I'm comfortable. Calm, dusty pastels, and whites, and pale natural colors. So this, well, a gift, giveaway, who knows? But, well, both as a gift, but this is how it came out. And it is beautiful. I'm not going to go into the fiber blends, it's all merino and silk, or just merino. This is, let's see, just hold it up so you can enjoy the beautiful yarn instead of my face. It is 103 grams and 220 meters. And again, I'm certain that it's a little bit faulty, hey, because it's this thin. Most of the places. So I'm going to measure all the yarns again once I get both my Swift and my ball winder again. And that was the Tour de Fleece, and I'm going to clean a little bit up and get back to you and talk a little bit about knitting in progress and finished. Okay, so knitting. First things first. Finally managed to square off this. It is now the width it is supposed to be. I'm going to insert a video here that I did in front of my neighbors, well, my mom's neighbors, rose bush. I'm taking liberties. We know each other, it's okay. It is 110 centimeters by 110 centimeters, approximately. I like my blankets big, and this is going to be a sofa blanket, and I can't wait to finish it. I have made a schematics. Is it schematics with a K sound, or is it schematics without the K? I don't know. Anyway, this is it. And I have actually spent time putting everything in here, all the squares, on Ravelry. Yeah, that took forever. And I'm also going to fill in the numbers here as I knit them. And fill that in on Ravelry. But filling this in on Ravelry took forever. And I don't know why I did it. Well, I do. In case I find a square and I'm thinking, whew, I'd love a sweater in this, or I'd love a full skein of this. I can go in, find the square in the schematics on the list, and go and see if the yarn is still available. So, I squared off my blanket. The width is finished. It's just the rest left. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 64 around 120, 125 6 squares left until I'm done with the blanket. I don't have that much minis, so someone's going to buy some minis. So yeah, I squared off the blanket and I'm super happy with that. I am using fingering weight yarns and my Rosewood Cubics wooden needles. My favorites. Just gonna remove my hairs. When you're freshly out of the shower, it doesn't matter how much you brush your hair, it's always going to feel like it drops off. Off tangent. Off topic. I know. Before I continue with the blankets, because I have more blankets talking about, I'm going to show you a pair of socks that I finished and a few other knitting projects, and then back to blankets, and then into crochet, and then into purchases and then some amazing gifts. This is the socks I finished. So I showed you this, the dipod accident from Arctic Yarns that I grabbed when I was there. Before I did that sock pair, I'm just going to show you one because they're the same. But I do have a pair. I knit this. I'm preparing fall a little, as you do when you live in Norway, and it is just beautiful. Very fall. Perfect for fall. Plain vanilla. I knit all my socks on 2mm needles. I've increased the amount of rows I do for my heel flap. A heel flap I do because it has a little bit more wear, so I do a slip stitch heel flap. And I also do now a 34 rounds, no rows, sorry, rows, forth and back rounds goes around. 34 rows, I pick up 17 and I decrease here. I cast on 64? 16 times 4 stitches. Me and mathematics, not on good terms. Not even easy math as that. I never understand why I don't do it right, but anyway. And then I just decrease down to that same number that I cast on with. I decrease every other round for the toe until I have 5 stitches left on each needle. I turn it inside out and I 3 needle bind off from the inside. Yes. That's probably how I'm always going to knit my socks, because that's how I like knitting my socks. I don't feel the need to knit socks any other way. There you have it. So now you know my sock recipe. 2x2 ribs, 20 rounds, 30 rounds here, 65 from picking up to the heel, from the heel to the toe decrease, if it is of interest. So now knowing that, if you watched the vlog from when I was visiting Amelia of Arctic Yarns and Arctic Knitting Podcast, you know that I was allowed down in her eye dungeon and allowed to experiment a little. I have shown you the yarns in episode 1 after my comeback here this year, and I have balled up this. This is one of the colorways that I did. I didn't write down any recipe, I just experimented. I just had fun with it, and it turns out I love it. I've also knit the first sock with it. You can never have too many knitted socks. In case that was a question that was on anyone's lips. So this is how the yarn looks. And this is what the socks look like. Cool, huh? It reminds me a little bit of a Christmas rose. I don't know why it gives me a Christmas mood, because Christmas roses here, well, nothing blooms in Norway in December, so we import everything. But Christmas roses aren't my thing, but it still gives me a little bit of a Christmas feeling. I was talking to Anna of the Anna Knitting Podcast, which is lovely. You should definitely go check her out too. And she says it reminds her of Christmas too. But, you know, her and I are just hopelessly Christmas fanatics, I think. So, there you have it. I love my hand-spun. No, I love my hand-dyed yarn. So cool. The next knitting project lives in this bag. that Ina of the Ina Knits podcast gifted me. And it is a kofte, Kofte, which is a traditional Scandinavian stranded knitted garment for the upper body. It can be jackets, which we mostly use actually about kofte, and it can be pullovers as well. I just mostly say pullover for pullover and kofte for jackets because that's just what resonates best with me, but both are actually allowed to use. I am going to take out the yarns I'm using. So much mess in this knitting bag, so much needles and... Okay, so for this kofte I am using Holst yarns. I'm using the same yarns for this one as I did for the first one, because if you've been with this channel for a few episodes, you know that I already... Are you shitting me with this lack of talking ability today? I used this yarn for the first one too, that I refer to as the swatch. The biggest in the world. I messed up the swatch simply because I didn't wash it. I always wash my swatch. I always wash my swatch. That is a seriously difficult sentence for a Norwegian to say. I always wash my swatch. I always watch my swatch. Wow. But this time I'm casting on for the XL and 3mm needles. The previous one I used the size L, so large, and 2.5mm needles. So this time I'm going for 3mm and extra large because it will shrink, I hope. Because if not, I'm just gonna have a big goat. But yeah, I'm using these Holst yarns, the Noble Base, which is probably my favorite yarns at the moment. I just love this yarn. It is super soft, so it's 95% Knitalong wool and 5% cashmere wool, which is goat. And Knitalong, I believe, is the softest lamb's wool you can get. So this is incredible. The softer the yarn is, the happier I am. That's just how it goes, which is one of the reasons you don't see me knitting with rustic wools anymore. I have several other reasons for that, personal reasons that I will get back to later, not today. But these are the colorways J and Whisper. So J and Whisper. If you see my strands of hair flying about, just, you know, whatever. Because yeah. So this is the swatch that I did, and it didn't shrink, but I'm pretty sure that my kofte will always swatch as you would have knit the garment, so in the round with color work. And I didn't use a pattern for this, I just went for it. The kofte is now 1.5 sleeve into, so it's a top-down project. It is from a Norwegian pattern book, so not available in any other language, I'm sorry, and I don't think you can just go online and buy the book either. So if you're watching from a different country, sorry. But I loved knitting this so much that I decided I'm going to knit it again. It is the Saga Wool Kofte. And this right here is the steeking, and I promise to make a video on that and either include on the podcast or a separate video in itself on how I do that, because I always get questions about that. It fits me very well. It's a little loose, but it's fine. I have finished the first sleeve, and for this one the pattern matches up. So Amelia, if you have time to sit your ass down and watch this episode, because I don't think she does, because she's all over the place all the time, no offense taken, this time the flowers line up with the triangles here. They do that on the top here as well, as you can see. And on pictures it lines up, but on the first one, the swatch, it lines up perfectly with the square, with the triangles. And now it does for me too. On mine it does. So this is how the front looks. This is how the back looks. If you haven't knit this and you are in Norway and you have the book and want to knit it, just make sure to know that there are a couple of errors in terms of stitch count there, and you can just message the people of Kofte Boken on Instagram and they will give you the corrections there. It's not as easy going into published books in physical form correcting errors, so when they appear you will have to receive a downloadable PDF to to actually get the corrections. So if you stumble upon corrections needed, just message them and they will send that to you, because I did. And yeah, it is so soft. I cannot wait to wear this. It is absolutely stunning. Back to well, it used to be a blanket in progress. It is no longer, but it's still in progress. When I was done with a square here, I knit a square in here. So this is 7 by 7 centimeters ish, maybe, give or take. And then I took scraps from that and I made tiny little squares like this into this blanket. Same recipe, just less stitches. And there are plenty of free patterns and videos on how to make a mitered square blanket like this now on YouTube. So you just go search for it. I was going to make a blanket with this, but I have changed my mind. It's going to be a, sorry for yarn floof in my nose, you know how it goes. So this is going to be a pillowcase. So this has gone from being a blanket whip to a pillowcase whip. And when I'm done with this round on this, I'm just going to measure it and see if I have enough for one of those cheap pillows to stuff with. And I'm just going to knit the back with a extra flap on the inside, and so that I can take it out and, you know, wash it. But this will be in the sofa with this blanket and the next blanket that I'm going to show you, because they match. But this is the yarns that I have left. It's quite substantial, as you can tell. So when I'm done with this, I'm just going to start another one of this. But first I'm going to buy some white yarns, or natural yarns, same weight in merino, just because it's mostly merino here. And I'm gonna frame my squares like, is it the Ladybug Laboratory? I think it's the name. A follower tipped me on Instagram about this channel, and I loved it, so I subscribed. And she does, I think it's 1 garter of black around each square. And then Ina of the Ina Knits podcast, who gifted me the bag that my Kofte lives in, who has a wonderful podcast, if I didn't mention it. We met up a couple of times and she's just wonderful. Amazing woman. She squares off her, well, she doesn't square off, but she starts each square with, I think it's 5 garters of black. And I'm gonna do that with the same size here, but I'm gonna make them bigger by knitting 3 garters of white. So every time I pick up to knit a new square, I'm gonna start with the white, and that's gonna frame every square, and I love it. And I'm gonna link both Ina's latest episode where she talks about it. Well, this is recorded the 6th of August 2019, so if you're watching this like 2 years later, don't go back to her latest episode, because, you know, it's probably not going to be there. It's probably going to be finished by then. But I can link them down below as well, and here, so you can right click that, open in a new tab, and watch it after, because I think that just puts a really cool effect to the blanket, and that is what I plan to do with mine. The next one isn't going to have as much pops of color. It's going to be more of a calm pastel color blanket. And since this blanket and the next one I'm going to show you is going to be for my sofa with my matching pillowcase, the next square blanket is going to be a bedspread. Now, I don't know the size of my bedspread yet, because I don't have a bed. I don't have a home. So we shall see. Hopefully I get someplace to live before Christmas, before winter sets, and yeah, excited times. I love knitting blankets, I love crocheting blankets, I love making blankets. Blankets is so much fun. I've always loved homemade blankets very much. It's always been my preference. So yeah, now you know the plans for that. The next blanket takes us into crochet because it is a granny stripe blanket. And I don't think I've shown you the start. Have I? Drop me a comment down below reminding me if I have. I'm not going to take time watching my podcasts in reverse. No, not reverse. What's the word? Repeat. Over again. I'm using the same needles, by the way, so 3mm squares rosewood cubics for the pillowcase as well. The next one, the granny square one. One of the reasons I like granny square blankets is because you don't need a pattern. I see people asking for patterns for this, while you just really have to know how to chain, how to do double crochets, and how to start and finish a row. You chain as much as you want, and you go from there. And YouTube is the library for anybody who wants to learn anything. And I've said this before, and I will say it again, because learning new things is kind of amazing. So if you want to learn to knit, to crochet a granny square or granny stripe or a knit blanket, YouTube really is the place, because in most cases they will link helpful free patterns, helpful cheap patterns, or helpful information in the box below their videos as well. But I love how you can just chain how many stitches you want and just go for it, and that is exactly what I did. I did a foundless single crochet start here. Chainless foundation. Is it? For heaven's sake, I knew this. I used to know this. Whatever. I have approximately 40 centimeters on my blanket now. I'm just going to see if you can see this. And it's approximately 120 centimeters in width. And I've calculated that to get the size I want, which is approximately 160 to 170 centimeters tall, so long, I'm going to have 1,300 grams of yarn, which I don't. So yeah, this is going to be one of those very long-term projects. But I love how this is coming out. I'm probably going to do the same when I start with the next blanket and just put the scraps in here, because it is a very economical and very environmentally friendly way of using yarn. Putting the scraps into new things instead of throwing them away. This is the yarn that I'm using right now. I'm picking out the darkest colors just because that's how I am. I do think I'm going to use very little of this one, because it has many darker spots in there that I don't like for me. So like I say, I can like a color, it doesn't mean that I want it in my home. And these are the cakes that I have left. And so, when the pillowcase is finished, I'm just going to put more into here and more into the new blanket. So, we shall see how it goes. Do you have any Scrapyarn projects, blankets, finished, or in the works that you are loving and enjoying? Drop a comment down below. Let me know. Blankets are so much fun. I have one more thing for crochet to show you. If you watched the July vlogs, this isn't news to you, but we're gonna bring out the phone for this demonstration. I have crocheted myself grocery bags for shopping, just simple fishnets. I don't use patterns when I crochet simple things like this. I just make it up as I go, but I am sure that if you feel like you need a pattern for something like this, it's probably both free and available for cheap bucks on Ravelry or just the great interwebs in general. You can just search for it. Crochet pattern for grocery bags, or just, vegetable bags, shopping bags. Just be creative, and I'm sure you will find something. Mesh bag, crocheted mesh bag. And you just alternate how many stitches you chain up to start with, and that's how you get different sizes. But they don't look very big right now. But the cool thing about fishnet is, and if you're a crocheter, you're just gonna, yeah, sure, everybody knows this. But if you're not a crocheter, you don't know this. So for fun and for demonstration, I have my phone here. That's how much stretch it is. I haven't pulled drawstrings through here yet, but I will. But I'm going to make more of these, so I'm just gonna wait. I bought a couple of skeins of just plain undyed, unmercerized cotton crochet thread actually for this, and this is the biggest one for potatoes and carrots and stuff. And this way I don't have to use plastic when I go shopping for my vegetables. Yeah, because plastic is some shit. Well, to be fair, plastic is a great like I said, plastic is great. It has long-lasting effects. It doesn't get broken very easily, but it also gets into nature and fucks up nature, and I'm totally against that. I had someone comment on my Lily E channel on Instagram, which is not a knitting space. I'm just gonna bring you a little closer to make sure you hear what I say over the spraying of the car in the background. I took a picture of a garbage can with a lot of garbage around, and I said, "Are you kidding me? How hard can it be?" And apparently some people out there still thinks that people don't do that. For some reason, animals are the only ones who pulls things out of the trash can, leaving it like that. But the trash can was half full, plenty place, so it couldn't have been the wind that whiffed it out there, or it couldn't have been an animal, because there aren't any squirrels and animals in this area to go in there and grab it and take it out. And it also hadn't been nibbled on. So it is people who have dropped it down. And I got when I said this back, and I got the response, we need to change the way we think. So I'm not doing this to offend anyone, I'm just saying it to put a fact on the table, which I think is very important. And she replied saying, "I can't believe people do that." And I can tell you one thing. If you remember the pictures of the whale who got stranded here in Norway a few years back with all the garbage in his belly, or pictures of beautiful sea turtles with straws up their nose that's just stuck there, or or birds with plastic bags over their head making sure they can't breathe. I'm so angry people do this. Plastic isn't brought into the ocean and nature by animals, it's us. And we need to stop doing it. I'm just a little passionate about this. 2 moments. Animal life and nature are 2 of my biggest passions. And it just breaks my heart into 1,000 pieces, seeing what we do to it and them. And yeah. So pick up your freaking garbage and throw it in a disposal bin, and make sure to recycle, and don't go around thinking that I don't do it, so people don't do it, or I can't believe he did it. No, I don't think that of him. Because I'm going to be the first to say that I used to be a smoker. I've been a known smoker for 7 years, but oh my goodness, yes, I've thrown cigarette butts out there, going into birds' bellies. I've been on the drunk and passed through a burger shop before I stopped eating meat and just thrown the garbage out the window, and it just looking back at it now, just, what the hell was I thinking? So yes, I am very passionate about making things that aren't plastic. Just because it is a great thing in terms of material doesn't mean that it is great for nature. So make sure if you see garbage, pick it up. Just because you didn't drop it there doesn't mean that you can't take it out from the ground, making sure it doesn't get stuck in cats' bellies and dogs' bellies and birds' bellies and fish bellies, because some of you eat meat and Cows on fields eat this shit, and fish eat this shit, and you eat them. Just saying. I'm gonna stop ranting about the plastic and wipe away my angry tears. I have a tendency to cry when I'm happy and angry and frustrated and sad, so it's not sad tears, it's just very engaged tears. Yeah. By the way, I used a 3mm hook for both the crochet mesh bags and the granny stripe blanket. Just saying. I will now show you some purchases. Blast from the past, as Ellie of Craft House Magic calls it. I've adapted this. I've just recently actually watched Ellie's podcast. It's been on my watch list forever, and I finally got around to watching her podcast, and it is amazing, as you would think, because she's recommended by so many, and there is a reason for this. She is so talented, and goodness me, she's so crafty. I mean, the thing she does, it just blows my mind, and she does bobbin lace. I am so happy to see someone bring this old tradition of bobbin lace still into this world. It is so fascinating. I don't know how she does it, but it is beautiful. If you don't know what bobbin lace is, it's where you have this huge cushion and you have all these needles, and you take all these pins, well, bobbins, and there's yarn around them, and you just move them around and you make these amazing pieces of thread. Don't know how she does it, but I am amazed. So I've actually started to watch her from episode 1, which is kind of crazy, because there's over 70. I think she's closing in on 80 episodes. Anyway, worth checking out. I will be linking her down below and tagging her on Instagram, so if, you know, you saw your tag and you're here watching, wow, you are pretty great, and I love watching you. So I will tag her below, and I will tag her on Instagram so that you can go and follow her and be as inspired as I feel after having watched her podcast, because it is really worth your time. What else? I'm going to show you some purchases, like I said, and my version of Blast from the Past, which I call Memory Lane, and then a few gifts, and then some ramble at the end, because, you know, that's how we roll here in the Nordic Stitches community. We ramble a lot. Okay. Let's do the Blast from the Past first, because it's going to be quick. So, I've had this since somewhere between 4th and 6th grade. And I skipped 5th grade because of some changing in the politics system here. And I hate politics. I really hate politics. This, though, is from either 4th or 6th grade, because I, you know, again, skipped 5th. This is my original initials. I had a different name when I was born, so these two are the same, but this last letter, it's not because of marriage or anything, but this is a pillow cushion. Pillow cushion? Are you shitting me? That's not the word. A pin cushion for your needles. I sewed this probably with a lot of help in 4th or 6th grade, and I don't remember the process, but I do know for sure this is me having stitched it up. So this is probably my first inside out sewing, so I've sewn in on the wrong sides together, here, looking pretty good so far, and here, and of course I probably sewed this on first, my initials, with the sewing machine. Look how crooked that is. But, and this is the other backside fabric. This is the seam from the outside. And it's held up all these years, probably because I haven't used it, so yeah, there you go. Oh, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned this before, but the Blast from the Past is Ellie of Craft House Magic, and Ali of Little Drops of Wonderful. Both are podcasts I love watching. She's adapted it to hers, and so I grabbed the idea from Ali, but the original, you know where I'm going with it. It's not my idea. So I'm just calling it memory lane, even though I don't have any memories of making this at all. But it's a fun thing to have. I don't have a whole lot of things that I made. I remember making those very thin strips of wood, long wooden strips that you soak and you make baskets. I made one of those. Doesn't exist anymore. In high school, or is it upper high school? I don't know how English school terms work. Excuse me, I'm just gonna put it on the screen. So I was probably 16 when I made a clay bowl. I got to try this spinning table with clay, and I formed a bowl, and I painted it white, and it was my potato chip bowl for so many years. And I probably left it in a cupboard at an ex's house or something when I left, knowing me. So it probably doesn't exist anymore, we can say it that way. But it was amazing. I loved it. And one day I will get back into making things with clay that way, because that was fun. I remember that as super fun. That same year in school, I also tried a ginormous floor weave, you know, where you push back and you thread, and it's just amazing. And it was the first thing I wove, and it had super straight edges, and it was a tablecloth for years when I moved from home. Doesn't exist anymore. So having this, it's just one of the few things that I made before my adult life that I actually have. So yeah, yay. So that was memory lane. Makeup in my eyes, making my eyes water. And then I'm gonna go into purchases, because there's a few. I made this one purchase because of the yarn that I spun that I'm not sure is enough for this 2-color brioche shawl that I want to knit. So I went into Biff Sugar Yarns, who is Allison, and she also has a podcast, which is amazing. Have I remembered to resubscribe to her? Oh my goodness. All my subscriptions went out the window when I was hacked and deleted in April, sorry. So I have to remember everyone. I'm not going to resubscribe to everyone just because there was a lot of podcasts I just stopped watching after a while, but hers is really one that I want to watch. But she also happens to dye these amazing, amazing yarns. This is singles. I wasn't intending on buying singles, so that's on me for not reading properly. But it is fingering weight singles, and it is called, this is her card. I really recommend her yarns. She dyes, if I could just take a stage dive into a big pool of her yarns, I probably would. This is the colorway Castaway, which is a movie I just love. And if you haven't seen it, you should really see it. It is amazing. And this colorway is freaking adorable. One hank has 366 meters. So this should be enough for the Seriously Holy Shawl color 1. And if it is, I'm just going to grab the same base without dye on it and knit the shawl with this colorway, because it is amazing. I really want to knit that shawl in blues because I fell in love with the design in blues. I've seen it in a lot of other colors as well, but that particular shawl just really hit home with me. And blue is one of my absolute favorite colors as well, so yeah, I got 2. Yes, pretty, pretty, pretty. I also grabbed yarn from a different, I think she's based in UK too, Beaches and Birdsong. And the dyer here is called Josie. No wonder you can't see anything. I'm just gonna cover my message. This is their logo. She included this sticker, which is amazing. Believe in you. When I saw this yarn, I said, oh my goodness, that is so pretty. And this in a just simple stockinette body shawl with white lace at the bottom would be amazing. And you will see why in just a second. It's called Snapdragon, and it is 75-25 superwash merino and nylon, 100 grams and 425 meters. And it is just the most delicate colorway I have seen in a very long while. Peachy, yellowy peachy, amazing. Maybe more apricot maybe, but it's so pretty. And it's the first time I've bought yarn from this dyer, and I loved it, and I will most definitely be going back into their shop. Just a little bit like I do with Biff Sugar yarns. I've been there before, I keep coming back, and I've been here now, and I will probably keep coming back. So those were the purchases. No, not together, no. And the plans, so far plans for those yarns, they keep changing the plans, so we shall see. And now I will talk about the gift. There was a lot more, like tea and a beautiful notebook and just amazing things in this package, but there was also some yarn. So I'm just gonna place it on the table, make sure you don't see it. Anna of the Anna Knitting Podcast. I will have mentioned her before in this podcast and previous podcasts and Vlogmases. I discovered her podcast during Vlogmas in 2017, and I've been following her ever since. I watched all her podcasts back and followed her, watched every episode, every vlog. She is just amazing. She is such a wonderful person. We get along very well when we speak to each other, even though a lot of people may think that we might not have a very good base foundation, because people tend to do that when people aren't from the same religion or part of the world. But Anna, if you are religious, she is too, and I am, well, I've discussed this with her, and I think we agreed that I'm more of an agnostic person. Is that the word? I don't believe in a god, but I believe that there's a possibility that there is something, because I am very spiritual, and we discuss a lot of things, among them religion and of course yarn and knitting, and we just chat a lot. And she used to dye yarn, and I don't know if it was on her Instagram that I commented. Oh my goodness, I love that yarn. That yarn makes me super happy just watching it. And after my cat passed away and I put my things in storage, and there was just this hacking thing, and she said that she wanted to send me something to make me happy. Oh no, wait, it was even earlier than that. Because I originally meant to buy yarn from her, but at the time I just couldn't afford it with the passing of my cat and moving and, you know, all this. And so she sent me a gift to make me smile. And you know, when someone says that, you're thinking, okay, maybe she gives me a sock yarn, you know, a ball of 100 gram sock yarn, or just some chocolates, or just sends a card. Really. You don't expect this. Oh my god. So I finally got around to asking her if it was okay for me to show you this on the podcast, and she said yes. I think she dyed it with food coloring, which is amazing. And I will show you each hank individually. And then it's your yarns. And I'm gonna show you the sparkly ones at last. These two are so pretty. I don't know if I'm going to keep all myself or give some away. We shall see. But the next three I'm definitely keeping for me for Christmas project. I'm gonna tell you what that is. And that is a plan that's not going to change. This is a sturdy sock base, 100 grams, 400 meters per hank. And 75% 25 Sherwool and polyamide. And I don't know what Sherwool is, if it's pure wool or something, but it doesn't feel like pure wool because it's just so soft. So it's probably not the same breed as the Norwegian sheep because that's a little scratchy to me. And then there's these three. I'm just gonna hold them in the order that I plan to knit them, like so. So this first, then that one, and then that one at the end. And I'm thinking a Christmas fade jacket to just throw over my shoulders and keep warm for Christmas. Plus I have green eyes. It's going to be amazing. It's got gold sparkle, which is not what I gravitate to, which is another reason I'm saying Christmas, because for Christmas, anything goes. And it's just so beautiful. Look at these yarns. You have to agree with me that these will make awesome, an awesome fade in a Christmas jumper. That way. Right? Right? I'm probably also going to knit it with a looser gauge, so probably 4, if not even 4.5 millimeters. And I'm just going to use the regular fade that you find in most patterns today, and just knit a cardigan without a really pattern, really just, you know, the basic. And I am so excited about this. It is so beautiful. And I've said thank you to Anna so many times, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much. I can't say it in German. I should probably learn to speak a little bit more German when I talk to her, but you know, I have a few phrases. I can say, Entschuldigung, ich spreche nicht Deutsch, English bitte. Just because a lot of Germans come here for holidays and think that everybody learns German in school, and it is a possibility, but I chose to deepen myself in English. So I don't know a lot of German. I can say a few numbers, and ich heiße Liliren, 55, 55, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm probably messing that up, and I'm probably making my neighbors go like, what the hell do you think you're doing? You can't speak German. Anyway, if I get a sentence in German, I can nail some of the words, just because in some places it's similar to Norwegian. And when I grew up, Derek, Inspector Derek or whatever, it was on the TV, so I picked up a little accent, but I suck at German, so sorry, Anna. She's probably laughing her ass off right now. Anyway, those were the ramblings and the yarnies and the knitting and the crochet and all that jazz for this episode. Before I log off, I'm going to touch a little bit upon life, just because it is relevant for the future podcasts. So as you know, I will be going to Bergen Knitting Festival on the west coast of Norway in 2 months' time, in the last weekend of September, and I am so excited. I have booked a hotel, low budget hotel, for 4 days and 3 nights, or is it 5 days and 4 nights? I have no idea. I booked it. I just know that I was going. I have my own little kitchen space and a bed, and that's really all I need, just because I'm vegetarian, vegan, trying to eat as much vegan as I can, and I don't know how much of the budget I can use for food, so having a fridge and a few pots and pans is going to come very much in handy. I'm also going to spend a lot of time there making vlogs for the other channel that I have, which is only about Norway and my travels and my vlogs. Once I do get my own place, it's probably going to change a little course. I was supposed to do a whole lot of vlogging in July for that channel, but traveling in Norway is so expensive. Everything here is expensive, and again, with a disabled and not really having a whole lot of money, I decided in July to just take extra money out of my budget and spend it on paying down debt instead. And so July wasn't very eventful. That channel is therefore on hold for a little while. There will probably be a couple of more vlogs before I go to Bergen, but when I go to Bergen, during the days, I will be making a lot of vlogs from Bergen, not knitting related at all. But when I was in Bergen last time, there were so many things that I didn't get to do, both because I was with somebody who just took control and just didn't care to ask what I wanted to do when visiting the city for the first time in my life, and also because I was in very crappy form in shape in terms of my health. And so when I go back, I just really want to soak it all in. But I'm also going to make vlogs for the other channel about it. So again, it's not a channel to, you know, come on over and just watch and talk about knitting in the comment section. This is the channel for that. But if you are interested in more than knitting, like Norwegian cities, things to do, places to go, and stuff like that, that could be the channel for you. And it's always linked down below, but I'm going to try and remember to put it up here as well. But I'm also going to make vlogs on the Bergen Knitting Festival. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to make one vlog per day or one vlog for the whole thing. It really depends on the atmosphere. I've been talking to Elizabeth, who is Salapalooza Knits Designs and podcast. She hasn't podcasted for a while, but she's been busy getting married. So she's really excused, and she's just so lovely. I can't wait to meet you, Elizabeth. It is going to be so much fun, and just hanging with her and other knitters and just exploring the knitting festival. And Elizabeth has told me that it is a very low-key festival, which kind of suits me very well, because I'm not only an introvert. I love being social, but it also drains me a lot of energy. So if I seem very tired, if you meet me there, it's just because I'm tired from being social. It doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying myself and enjoying meeting you. I just want to put that out there. But a low-key festival to me sounds pretty perfect. She said low-key, and I was like, thank you. I've never been to a knitting festival before, so I'm very, very excited. I'm just gonna restart this set. I've never been to the festival before, any festival, and so I've got this list. I'm stalking almost in a good way Bergen Knitting Festival's Instagram profile, so every time they post something I get an alert. You can do that if you follow someone and you really want to stay tuned on their things. You just go to their profile, top right corner, press the 3 dots or lines or whatever, and just oh no, it's new now. Yeah, you need to follow them, and when it says follow now, it has a drop down arrow, not error, and you just press that and you can choose posts notifications in that drop down menu. So I've done that on Bergen Knitting Festival, and every time they post a new vendor that's coming, or something that is happening, I'm just yes. And I have this list on my phone here over things that I'm going to attend and people I want to see and booths I'm going to spend money in. And so yeah, I have a budget, but I'm sure I'm going to burst it far out there, like a shooting rocket or something. I don't know, but it is hopefully going to be my best time this year. Almost. I have some Christmas, December plans. I'm hoping that will happen, and if that happens, that's going to be the time of my life this year. But so far, Bergen Knitting Festival is probably going to be the most epic thing that I do this year, just because I'm so excited to meet knitters. I don't have a lot of friends in real life, and so meeting people with the same interests and having people to talk to about those interests, to me, is just super fun. Yeah, I'm excited to meet my online friends and new people that have been following me for a while, that I've been chatting to for a while. Yeah, I'm excited to meet you all, and I think that's it for today. I'm going to end by saying thank you so much for watching.
There are so many podcasts out there now that you choose to spend your time watching my rambles means a lot to me. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and share the video. Or take a screenshot, during the podcast and share on your stories on Instagram and tag me, and have more people come and join this amazing growing community again. We used to be 6,000 subscribers. We're closing in on 1,000 now after I got back after the hacking drama, so that's amazing. I do promise again to have a not a Knitalong, we have 3 of those already, to have a giveaway when we reach 1,000 subscribers, because that really needs to be celebrated. Yeah, thank you again so much for watching. Whoever you are, wherever you are, be kind, be good, spread love and acceptance, embrace diversity, and in this very crazy world that we are now living in, make sure to take care of one another, and yeah, stay safe, and stay happy, stay crafty, and I will see you here for the next podcast, I hope.